Hello and welcome to the Marketing Times Analytics podcast. I'm your host, Alex Safranis, and today I'm on with Tifany Mazza. Tifany, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Alex. Yes, of course. First of all, thank you for having me. And I'm Tifany. I'm CEO of Tikio, a Google Partner digital marketing agency, and also the creator of Not to Die For, which is a curated vegan and cruelty-free e-commerce. And I've been in digital marketing for over 10 years. And my agency, Tikio, is full stack. So we do everything from paid media, web development, PR, pretty much.
Yeah, how did you get started with your own agency?
With the agency, well, I used to be long time ago the e-commerce manager of hotel chain, and it got into a point in which my boss was the owner. So we had a conversation in which I told him, like, either I end up going to work to another company or I start my own agency and you're my first client. And he was okay with that, and that's how pretty much started how it started. This company was my first client, and then I started like expanding to other clients as well, and started adding people to my team, and yeah, that's.
Interesting. So you started adding people to your team. How did you find good employees to work with?
At first, it was pretty much like friends of friends, or like even friends sometimes for some specific things that needed to be done. But then via LinkedIn, when I got into a point in which, okay, like I needed people that I didn't know already, mainly from LinkedIn. That's where I started uh,
Nice.
posting, and it works. It's
Cool. So how long did it take you from, your first client to today? What is that progression? How has that progression looked like? How long has it taken?
so actually the agency started it. I started it like 6 years ago, but in the middle. So I was raised in Argentina. Um, when that happened, when I started it, it was there in Argentina. But then I came to the States. I was living in Miami, and with I did have clients from all over the world, but for living more comfortably here in the US, I took a job at another agency for 2 years. So it kind of had it was on pause for 2 years, the agency, and then 2 years ago I got back to it. I quit the other job, and uh, I kind of revamped it, and now we are 5 people in the team. Um, but that's a little bit of a story in terms of clients. We have um, 7 on retainer, and then we have projects every now and then.
Hmm. And how do you find like opportunities to how do you find clients?
One of those it's referrals, and something that I do often. It's pretty much via LinkedIn, talking to people that I think will fit in our agency. I reach out to them, and usually they are open to have a chat and analyze whether we are a good fit or not. And I started like niching down a lot, is and not and started to say no to certain kind of clients, so that we focus on clients that I know we're going to do a great job, and we are really going to improve their metrics, and you know create like successful business cases.
Hmm. That makes sense. And so that's more about your agency. What about your e-commerce brand? How did that get started?
Yeah, so the e-commerce, we kind of treat it as if it was just another client. Um, it is so it started 2 years ago. Yeah. So I went vegan like 3 years ago, and something that I noticed is that like the food part for me was pretty easy, but then when it came to uh, personal care items like shampoo, also soaps or even detergent, like I started to notice that most of those products had animal ingredients on them. So I kind of started curating them and created this shop in which people like me who like don't like who try to avoid uh, animal products. They can like just go there and don't need to read labels every time they have to purchase something. So it's pretty much like a safe space for people who wants to avoid animal ingredients and also those who choose cruelty-free products. So that's pretty much how it started. And now we treat it as if it was another client within the agency in terms of
Mm-hmm.
social media, well, the website that was developed, um, email marketing. We do pretty much everything in house.
Mm-hmm. And are you aggregating food brands that are vegan for animals, or are you producing it?
So no, we produce little amount of products, but most of them are curated from small businesses within the U.S. We have almost 80 products now. The idea is to add more even, but most of them are known brands that are out there. But we don't have food. We do have some
Okay.
supplements or things like that, but it's very focused on personal care items, also like household items and
Okay, my mistake. Okay, so this is more like holistic vegan living, so to
yes,
speak.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And how do you decide which products to market to people if you have 80 products?
Yeah, so the idea is to add more, but one of the things we do is pretty much ask on social media what people are interested in, um, and we add that. And then when we started it, it was mainly focused on the things that are usually harder to find. Um, and there's also not a lot of knowledge about the amount of products that have animal ingredients on them. So um, it was pretty much focusing on those that are harder to get, and then we started adding more. But yeah, that's pretty much how those
Mm-hmm.
are like the main things that we take into account for adding products.
And how do you like? Do you do a lot of prospecting? Do you mainly focus on owned email lists and owned audiences? What is the amount of time you put into prospecting versus owned audiences?
So since this brand is pretty new, like we are still in a getting more reach and prospecting, creating awareness of the brand and also like the products that we have. We do have like a list of clients, and we do email marketing for those audiences, but we are still in a growing moment. So it's pretty much more focused on creating awareness, prospecting kind of tactics.
Okay, interesting. I like that you sort of built your own business to run through your marketing agency.
Yeah.
That's an interesting synergy. Do you have any other synergies in the way that you've structured your businesses?
Uh, Not really. Like honestly, I did many things before in the past, but many projects that didn't work, or it, I was not very passionate about them, so like they kind of let them die. Um, and same thing, like they were always treated as clients, but yeah, now these are the two main businesses, which they are both doing good, so that's also great. I'm very focused also on the clients. I kind of my role is very like strategic and also yeah, very focused on leading the team, also speaking with the client and like um, also getting new clients. But then the all of the hands-on work is mainly um, like there are team members that they are very knowledgeable of what they do in terms of, for example, paid media or content creation, and they do that the hands-on. but for that, I kind of QA and review the overall strategy
Mm-hmm.
for those.
So you definitely focus on your own niche, and I think that's something that is right off the bat clearly a differentiator for you.
Yeah.
So what are the kinds of clients that you focus on?
It's mainly e-commerce. That we do have clients that are not e-commerce as well, but our main strength, I'd say, is e-commerce because we're very metrics driven. We do analyze the data a lot and have many reports with data so that we can make strategic decisions based on those. Um, but we also have like a big honestly, in the past years, we started focusing more on vegan and sustainability businesses so that we niche down in that area because we do have the expertise, not only because of Not to Die for like my brand, but we do have um, like the dog, which is a plant-based food dog food. And we worked for a solar panel company for a long time. We do have we worked for Labs by Lady Gaga, which is a vegan and cruelty-free makeup brand. Uh, but yeah, those are pretty much the um, that's our main niche, e-commerce. But also, if they are within the sustainability or vegan area, also it's pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So how did you come? How did you decide on this niche to focus on?
So the e-commerce part was pretty much my experience. Kind of took me there, and then the other niche it was mainly like the more like the plant-based businesses were because of my interest. Honestly, I was like, okay, if I can help businesses to grow, I'd like to help these kind of businesses. um, and I actually started saying no to like hunting businesses and uh, businesses that didn't quite align my values. So it was pretty much very organic how it went towards that direction.
Interesting. So you're choosing, a business that you genuinely believe in,
Yeah.
and you're not just going for where's the opportunity.
Well, I see both things. Like, yeah, I do believe in them, and I see opportunities in these kind of clients. I wouldn't work like I actually said no to clients that I saw that they were still not um, as mature as they need to be for them starting to do marketing. So it kind of both things have to be true, like both
Mm-hmm.
being an opportunity there and also I have to believe in that business as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
That makes sense. Um, so let's see. What are you focusing on now? So you've built these businesses.
yeah.
You have them in a good state. What are your current challenges to get to the next level?
Current challenges. Well, in Not to Die for, like I said, I'd like to add much more products, like at least 1,000 for the beginning of next year. So that is like the main challenge there. Like the idea is for it to be like a vegan and cruelty free Amazon, not just a curated e-commerce. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done for curating each product and making sure that everything is kind of aligned with what the audience wants as well. And then in terms of TQ, the agency, it's doing very well, but it's always good having more clients. So that's what we work on. Like, fortunately, the clients that we have are very happy. So we are in the moment in which it's a good moment for scaling everything out and kind of having more. Uh, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's pretty
That's really
much where
cool.
we are right now. Yeah.
So, um, how do you see the future of, like, do you see the sustainability market increasing over time? Is that sort of the play that, this is where the future is, so I want to build a market as the audience grows?
Yeah, no, definitely. And we can see year over year how these subjects are like being more important. Not only the brands that are sustainable, like per se, but also many brands are uh, have, have a long history of not being sustainable, are trying to go towards that direction. And you can see that in the results as well. Like uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's
I like that.
it's very clear like how when a brand kind of communicates that and kind of go towards that direction, we get to see better results. But at the same time, it's not like, okay, you can brand anything into being sustainable and people will buy. It has to be a good product that solves a problem. It's and I feel like many brands are failing there, but many others are doing it the right way, and those are the ones that are going to be successful
Yeah,
on that.
they call that greenwashing, right?
Yeah,
When
exactly.
pretending to be
Greenwashing.
conscious.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of that. Also, a lot of now another similar term that it's uh, kind of increasing as well. It's plant-based washing. Like brands can say that something is plant-based when it's not really that plant-based. Um, and again, they do a lot of plant-based washing now as well. Um, and there are a lot of labels like cruelty-free labels that are not regulated by law also, so anyone can say that. So it's um, but I feel like the audience, like the public, is being more aware of those kind of things, and the brands will need to adapt and be more transparent because there are a lot of people who are kind of noticing that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And do you work with anybody, like, are you sort of like the central node behind these, like the business curation? Do you work with anybody who's a sort of expert in this area who can like help advise on which products to sell? How does that work in terms of like industry knowledge around this?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much the one who does that, and we have some tools of different um, yeah businesses that what they do is kind of tell you which brands are cruelty free and which no. There are like cruelty free brands, some that are like in a gray area, and some that are not cruelty free at all. We only use the ones that are 100% cruelty free. Not only cruelty free, but also in terms of ingredients. Yeah, it's reading each ingredient and knowing where that ingredient comes from, because when you read the label, like most ingredients have like very weird names, and most people don't even know that they are like the a part of an animal, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we do that. All of that curation, we do that. But yeah, in terms of industry knowledge, since I am vegan, it's pretty much me.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So you built your agency and you have several people now. I'm curious, how did you begin to stack the team? What role did you start with? What was the first hire that you had to make?
Yeah, my main role was paid media. I'm very like personally very data driven numbers, and my first work experience was in paid media. So I kind of I certified at Google, and then started to grow in that area, and also started getting clients from that area. But then I've always been like very like a generalistic and very like focused on strategy as well. So when it comes to social media, people always kind of ask me, or email marketing. Like I did in my work experience, I kind of did pretty much everything. Being paid media my main expertise, but when I started getting more clients, then I started hiring people like in social media, for example, which it's something that I kind of do in terms of strategy, but in terms of implementing, I did it in the past, like more than 10 years ago. But it's something that I didn't want to focus, so I hired someone for that area. And also, the person I hired is better than me, and I'm doing that. So yeah, I focused on the areas that I knew that there were other people who were going to do a better job than I do. And I focused on what I know best, which is pretty much strategy, numbers, analytics,
Hmm.
and that kind of stuff.
What about people management? How did you grow into that as a leader?
Yeah, I try to be like present but not micromanaging. I do have with each team member 2 calls a week, but 30 minutes. I'm always available on Slack, chat, email, etc. But I try to have this meeting so that we can kind of do a touch base. And then I do with each member as well a monthly meeting, mainly focused on the monthly meetings are focused on their growth and kind of putting myself at their disposal and being like, hey, what can I do to help you? And what do you, like, how do you see? And also like we strategize on their growth within the agency and their likes because sometimes when like on a daily basis when you work and you're too focused on the work and you don't kind of put a stop every now and then to discuss um, what they like, what if they want to change something about their job or about my leadership style. Even like it's not everyone likes the same style, so it's kind of I like putting this monthly meeting so that we kind of have the time to see where we can improve
Hmm.
and also focus on their growth as well. So
Makes
that's
sense.
pretty much how I manage everything in terms of uh, management and leadership. We
Hmm.
do for everything a project management. We do manage everything from Asana, which is a project management tool.
Hmm.
Uh, but then that's pretty much how we handle it. But yeah, I try to be very available always for them.
That's great. I want to move on to strategy. So you mentioned that's a big part of your role. So what are
Yeah,
some areas where you make strategic decisions? Can you give us some examples?
yeah, of course. So in terms of strategy, like pretty much um, in most roles, but when it comes to, let's say, we got a new client and when many clients don't even know what they need, so yeah that's where I come to place and say like analyze the brand, their competitors, and also um, their market, so that we we kind of brainstorm within the team and put together the strategy, taking into account the conversion funnel, like all of the steps of the way, like how the customer journey will look like for this specific client. We do analyze where they are at right now and what they should do in terms of whether it's paid media, whether they have to do email marketing, because if it's a client that doesn't have a lot of time in the market, that maybe they don't even have email marketing lists, so why would they spend money on email marketing? So okay, let's focus on prospecting. Or sometimes it's the other way around. It's always a mix of everything, but yeah, that part is mainly what I focus on the most. Whenever we have a report, we do analyze with the team together and determine next steps based on the data and the results that we had. But yeah, that's pretty much how we work on that.
And do you set up analytics for your clients? Can you walk us through how that works?
Yeah, yeah, we do everything analytics. We implement through Google Tag Manager, um, and well, now it's Google Analytics 4. So we had to migrate all the analytics account to Google Analytics 4 because Google decided to change the platform, which is okay. Um, But yeah, the first thing we do is implement the general tag there. Um, and then depending on the client, on the events that they have on the website, if it's an e-commerce, we would implement the purchase metrics with the revenue and everything that has to do with the product details. If it's not an e-commerce, maybe the objective is generating leads, so we would implement that as well. The implementation that we would do pretty much depends on the objective of the client. Uh, so
Hmm.
the first thing would pretty much analyze that. Okay, like what do we want to measure um, based on our KPIs and our objectives, right?
Got it. Yeah, that's interesting. So you use Google Tag Manager.
Yeah,
Are you doing any advertising offline? Anything in the direct or like the physical, like paper space, or is it all digital?
we do all digital, everything but PR, which is 99% digital anyways. But yeah, for everything PR, it is pretty much speaking to the media
Hmm.
and doing all of that manual work, like with our PR and the head of PR of ours, it kind of pretty much manage all the contact list from the press, all of the contacts that we have. Um, and send them the press releases. We create the press releases and send them, and make sure that the media communicates them. But yeah, that's the less online thing that we do, but it's pretty much online as well.
If you wanted to, like, would you then subcontract out another from another agency if you wanted to add other marketing tactics, or would you build that capability internally if a client needed it? How would you
So I
go about
think
that?
it depends on if we don't have the expertise, then it will be better to kind of hire third party than someone who knows better.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's a freelancer and it doesn't have to be a whole agency, but I think it kind of depends on the on the situation. But yeah, when in everything offline, um, we never did that honestly. But I should analyze it when the case comes,
Hmm.
and maybe it makes more sense like a freelancer or someone who can manage that part. But
Got it.
yeah, I guess it will depend.
Yeah, and then do you connect with like media mix modeling or MTA modeling? Do you offer those kinds of analytics? How do you work with that?
So sorry, I didn't get the question.
Do you do MMM modeling, or do you like offer that in a sense where you can like connect with a company that does that kind of modeling to offer that analytics? If you or in other words, if you wanted to offer that analytics, how would you go about it?
Mm, what would MM modeling mean? Honestly, we don't.
Yeah, so when you're looking at all the different spend, but MMM basically means how should we spend our marketing budget across the different tactics and placements. So the company will come in and like they'll create a model based off of your previous spend in the buckets and say
Ah,
here's how much you should put towards this tactic or that tactic.
oh, yeah. No, yeah, we do that. We kind of call it budget distribution. But it's we do analyze when we do the strategy, when we do the analysis of okay, like where is the demand? If we need to create demand, or maybe it's there and we just have to do more like push kind of strategies. It will kind of we do that analysis not only in Google Trends but also the keywords in Google Ads, and also the different audiences that you get to see um, on media, more like prospecting media, like Facebook ads or YouTube ads. And based on that, we create the budget distribution, like the media plan, and we allocate budget to this different kind of tactics depending on uh, the objective that we want to achieve, and also the like how the market is behaving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That
that's
that makes sense. Yeah. Um, it's something, you know, everybody who manages marketing spend has to have a method for deciding how much should go to each
yeah,
tactic.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like part of the strategy. Like the first part is the research, and then based on the research we determine like how to allocate it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, like whenever we make the first report, it's there with the data, we get to see some opportunities that in the initial research were missed. So we redistribute. The good thing about digital marketing is that you can pivot strategy easily because we can make a redistribution of the budget uh, as while you see data and based on the user's behavior. Some
Mm-hmm.
things are not always as predictable, so it's good to like see the data so that you can redistribute the budget and allocate it to the tactics that work
Mm-hmm.
the best.
So, what kind of testing do you do for your clients? And do you do a lot of like creative testing, targeting testing? What's your, you know, bread and butter?
Yeah, testing in pretty much everything, honestly, from email marketing, you get to test like from the subject to the creative within the email, also like in paid media. We always use at least 3 ads so that they A/B test, and you end up like kind of showing the one that performs better. We do A/B testing in websites even, showing 50% of the users one landing page and the other percentage the another landing page to see which one has the highest conversion rate. Um, so yeah, in terms of A/B testing, it's pretty much on everything, and it's great so that you can like get data and optimize the campaigns and the website landing pages. Pretty much everything you can optimize with that.
You know, speaking about sort of measurement and testing, when you're running multiple tactics, sometimes one tactic can sort of steal attribution from others, especially if you
Yeah.
have a linear attribution method like last or first touch. So, can you tell us about how you navigate instances like that, or any examples or stories you have?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's true. Like you get to see that it's typical that the search brand campaigns always has a lot of sales, but then the meta ads awareness campaigns just have some clicks and sessions. But when you get to see the overall, but like first of all, you kind of and you can educate the client on how this works. The upper funnel, you will have the prospecting awareness and yeah, the prospecting channels that will bring awareness but won't bring you sales. But then and then the lower funnel ones, which like brand campaigns, for example, will give you more sales. But you know that there are like different kind of attribution models. I feel like the most common one is last click, and that's why you get to see those numbers, like the brand having a lot of conversions and the meta awareness ones having few or none. But yeah, when you get to see a position based attribution model, that's one that I like a lot. You kind of see like, oh, how the meta ads campaigns impacted on the conversion, like how the user first saw the ad, they didn't buy at the moment, but they did go to the website. Then a few days later, they searched the brand because they remembered the ad, and that kind of gives you like a better insight on how the audience is behaving. And yeah, I've seen pretty much everything when it comes to this. Like there are many clients are like, okay, let's only leave the brand campaigns and post everything else. And it's like, well, if you do that, then you are not going to have the amount of conversions that you're having because the brand campaign is having conversions because we are generating awareness first. So, um,
Okay.
so yeah, but I think it makes a lot of sense always analyzing. position based attribution model, and also I also like to see like the first touch point and the last one, so that you like kind of see the complete story of the customer journey, right?
Mm-hmm. And what did you mean by position based attribution?
Yeah, so position based is pretty much when you um, it is an attribution model that you get to see in analytics, where you have um, so, most of the attributions is distributed in the first and the last touch points, and then there is a little bit of attribution in the middle touch points as well. So you get to see pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Okay.
yeah, there are different kind of attribution models. It will vary from client to client, which makes more sense using. Um, but yeah, that's just one of the ones out there.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, it's I always like analyzing like not only one attribution model, but having two or three, so that it kind of it's more insightful. You get to see better what's going on.
Yeah, you have different stories and different tactics are
Hmm.
best shown through different lenses.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Some of the more direct conversion tactics,
Hmm.
like for instance, I work in direct marketing. So we're a
Yeah.
conversion focused set of tactics where we're mailing people with offers and
Hmm.
we know exactly who the person is. So we're just hitting them directly. Versus if you have an upper funnel, maybe a display campaign, and you're reaching thousands and millions of new people who have never
Hmm.
may not be familiar, and
Yeah.
it's really not focused around conversion as much.
Mm.
Um, so you just have different lenses through which you would look at those tactics. You wouldn't look for conversion efficiency for or large conversion volume for upper funnel display.
Yeah.
So you'd want to look at like how does the MTA look on that, or MMM, like how many people are we actually exposing versus how many people actually bought based off of it. So I'm
Yeah.
totally with you. Different lenses for different performance stories.
Yeah, exactly. And there are also different objectives, and sometimes in with one client you have different objectives as well. You have sales, but also you have leads, because like both things are good for the brand. And it's also a matter of kind of putting a value to each objective. That's something that I see that not many people do, but it's something that I insist a lot on doing, because it's like the maximum cost per acquisition, like having that in your head kind of will allow you to spend more or less money on creating awareness as well. So if you have those measurable numbers, the measurable objectives in mind, like that will allow you to create better strategies focused on real numbers. Because many times it's like, oh, I want more sales, but like, okay, that's kind of a bit vague. But if you don't put like um, a precise measurable objective, uh, it's kind of hard to get there. You won't have a like a realistic uh, goal
Mm-hmm.
objective.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And when you're deciding how much to spend, obviously you need to have an idea of the LTV of those
yeah,
customers. So
yeah,
how do you go about figuring that out?
yeah. So that is so usually it depends. Again, it depends on the historical data that the client has. Sometimes they do have a lot of data, and with that we can calculate the long time value, which is great when we have that, because it allows us to directly tell them, okay, with this, the return of ad spend that it's profitable to you is this amount of number. Even like if we have a cost per lead of, let's say, $100, we are still going to be profitable, because that lead we will be able to convert them and sell through email marketing. um, because if we have all that data, the conversion rate through email marketing, the long term value, the average sale, that makes it very easy to calculate and also to work with, because we will be able to kind of create tactics based on those numbers, so that we can and go get those achieve those goals. Um, but it's harder when the business is kind of starting, or they don't have a lot of data, or they have a product that changes every now and then. So in those cases, it's working towards um, like first generating awareness and kind of see like first generating data, and once we have the data, then we can like analyze it and determine next steps. Because
Hmm.
yeah, it's usually harder when a business doesn't have a lot of data. I mean, having data helps a lot.
How do you manage the performance data for your campaigns? Do you use a cloud database? That's what do you use SQL? What do you use for your clients?
So we use Looker Studio. Um, it depends on also like the specific tactics that we are using. But for yeah, for pretty much everything we do analyze data, and in Looker Studio we integrate with analytics, with Facebook ads, with Google ads, and on social media. We kind of put everything living there so that we can have a general view of what is going on, and also where to optimize the, and we focus on the main metrics so that also the client kind of have an executive overview, and then we go into details uh, for our use, and like to see where to optimize, and uh, yeah, so that we can determine the next steps and strategy moving forward.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I find Looker Studio it's pretty good for for everything that has to do with data analysis.
Hmm.
It's,
Okay, so I want to talk about funnel strategy for
yeah,
e-commerce. Do you have any feedback or any advice that you would offer
yeah,
for how to construct a funnel strategy?
awesome. Yeah, of course. So um, the funnel, in case like some someone listening don't know, it's pretty much like first uh, creating awareness, and the channels for doing that are usually like social media, meta ads, focusing on those who don't know you yet, but they kind of are your target audience. So it's pretty much reaching those, and then the lower the funnel, um, the more interested the user will be on buying. So what I recommend is always doing a mix of all of the steps of all of the steps of the funnel, because if you focused on one only, then like let's say we focused on awareness, like yeah, you will get awareness, but then when people search for you on Google, and if you're not there, they are not going to find you and not going to buy. Or if you don't do remarketing to them, like someone enters the website and leaves and you don't remarket them, they are very likely to forget about your product even if they liked it. So yeah, I would focus on all of the steps, um, so that you kind of keep it going. And also, like if you already have a awareness created and you focus on lower funnel, then that won't last a long time, because if you don't create awareness, then you will lose um,
Hmm.
that audience. Yeah, you will have sales in the short term, but if you don't create awareness at the same time, the sales will decrease. That I've seen that a lot of times, because some clients are like, okay, I already generated awareness. Now I want to focus on lower funnel, and they stop doing awareness, and that can like, yeah, it works. It brings money. We bring sales in the short term, but then since you're not generating awareness, the people will kind of lose interest in your brand. So yeah, the main advice would be that like focusing on all of them, and not um yeah, and not focus on like one or few, to be consistent on all of them. I think that consistency in digital marketing in general, it's kind of like the key to improve your brand, to increase awareness, and kind of have a successful business. Yeah, that's, and also like take into account like the different media out there. You have paid media, you have email marketing for like lower funnel strategies, you have well, organic social media, you have SEO, you have blog posting, like use analyze all the media available and add those to your media mix and to your funnel, because people are not focused like only in one specific place. And also the other thing is like don't be afraid to pivot strategies if needed. If you create one strategy, you start running the campaigns or the tactics that you decided to use. If you get to see the results after a month, let's say, and you see that one thing is working better than expected, don't be afraid of like pivoting strategy and focus more on what it's working for you. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's pretty much I think the main thing that I would suggest.
Thank you. I want to ask about your creative support. So, who does your creative? How do you manage creative output for your
Mhm.
campaigns?
Yeah. So we do have designers, video editors, and the copywriter in house. But sometimes the clients they do have the design, so they want to manage that. So it kind of depends on the client whether we do those or whether they do that part, because many times they have design in house, so they do all the creatives for all the pieces, for all the yeah the platforms, and
Mm-hmm.
they send over. But many times we do that in house. But it pretty much depends on the client, honestly. Um,
Okay.
and the creative will depend on the tactic. Like let's say for awareness, we are not going to use the same creative as in remarketing, because there are people who are in like different stages in different parts of the funnel. Um, those who, if we are doing awareness, then we have to keep in mind that these people don't know us, and we want to educate them on who we are. But remarketing, they know us already, so maybe it's more like, hey, come back, um, and showing maybe a testimonial or a unique value proposition that we might have. So the messaging will vary depending on that, and also on the specific segmentation. Sometimes within awareness, for example, we target younger people. We create a segmentation for younger people, and then for last 50, for example, we have another audience. So the creative will also vary depending on that. That's a good thing about digital marketing, that we can be very precise on segmentation. So we can yeah, make creatives based on that, on the different kind of audiences.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have so your creative support? These people have like marketing experience, right? Or is there like a marketer that is helping with the audience tailoring of the creative?
Oh yeah, the paid media strategy will kind of say like, okay, we need this, like kind of strategize the. Um, of course, it will depend on the tactic that we are using. But let's say paid media. In that case, a paid media strategy would be like, okay, we're going to target these people, and we want to send them this message, and then we'll send that to design, um, so that we can have that creative. Sometimes the
Got it.
design is in house, sometimes it is from the client side. But yeah, everything like strategy of who are we going to be communicating what, that comes from our end.
Thank you, Tiffany. This has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat today. And thanks everyone for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.